Greetings from Ken Wall. This is my second YouTube video, and I'm very excited to share with you another story about a famous woman in church history. Today is September 14th in the year 2020 at 1:30 p.m. My first course actually starts tomorrow at McMaster Divinity College, but I'm bent and determined to get an early start in this course. The main textbook is this, Doctors of the Church, and I have almost finished the book. Now, in God's eyes, do you ever wonder what God considers a great person? Today I want to tell you a story about a woman who I truly believe that God considers great, but throughout her life, she never considered herself great. This woman's name is Susanna. Susanna was born a long time ago on January 20th, 1669 in England. She was the last child born in her family, and believe it or not, Susanna was the 25th child. You would think it would be easy to get lost in obscurity with that many kids. Her father was the Reverend Dr. Samuel Annesley, and he was the pastor of an 800-member Presbyterian church. He was a great dad. During this period, the education of women was not encouraged, but Susanna's dad encouraged all his children to learn as much as they could in life. His entire exclusive library was wide open to all his children. Susanna, in particular, took advantage of this, and she was a fervent reader. She learned Greek and Latin and was greatly interested in learning all about Christianity. So what she did, she studied all the tenets of her father's belief, and at the age of 13, she boldly came up to her dad and told her dad that she no longer wanted to be a Presbyterian, she wanted to join the Church of England. I'm sure that her dad laughed when this bold little 13-year-old came up to him. But once again, as I said, he was a great dad. And he said, fine, if you want to join the Church of England, that is great from him. I think you admit, what a nice guy. I don't know about you, but at the age of 13, theology was the last thing on my mind. Though the love of my life, Darlene, whose dad was a Baptist minister, told me that at the age of 17, she actually examined all the theology of her dad. But Darlene came to the conclusion that her dad was right. As you can imagine, Susanna loved her dad. It must have been something about the name Samuel, as at the age of 19, Susanna married Samuel, who was an Anglican priest. It was a very interesting marriage, to say the least. Over the years, they had many strong arguments. Their biggest argument came in 1701 when Susanna was 32, and at this time she had 5 children. Susanna in life was a Jacobite. She was a supporter of the usurped James II, and Samuel's allegiance was to King William. This led to numerous quarrels, as Susanna would refuse to say amen at the end of any daily prayer that included a plea for the well-being of the king in 1701. Well, what happened? In a fit of rage, Samuel announced, if we have 2 kings, we must have 2 beds. So he quit the Edgeworth rectory and he went off to London, leaving her behind. When Samuel left Susanna, she really wasn't that bothered about it. And deep down inside, she thought Samuel was dead wrong in doing this. So what happened? At this time, they had an interim priest who was assigned to their local church. Susanna found his messages uninspiring and lacking in spiritual meat. So she began teaching the members of the congregation the Bible in her kitchen on Sunday afternoons. Soon, neighbors began asking if they could attend. Word circulated, and others from the area began asking permission to attend as well. So thorough was Susanna's knowledge of the Bible and so gifted what she was at communicating its truth that on any given Sunday after church, Susanna would have as many as 200 people in attendance at her informal family Bible study, which initially started in her home, but because of the size soon moved to a larger venue. Susanna was a woman of the scriptures. She wanted to spend 2 hours in prayer and Bible study every day. But the problem was that her house was filled with the hustle and bustle of all her children. Eventually, she had 11 kids to contend with. You gotta admit, that's a lot of kids. So, what solution would you come up with? Well, Susanna came up with a very, very unique solution. What she did with this, she would take her Bible and sit in her favorite chair, and then she would put a large apron over her head. She actually calls this her tent a meeting. Her children quickly knew that when mom was under this tent, they were not allowed to bother her for anything. Susanna did indeed get 2 hours every day to devote to prayer and Bible study. But she was also an amazing mother. 6 days a week, here was her schedule for her children. Every child was given chores to do, and these chores had to be completed by 9 a.m. Then school began at 9 a.m. to noon. Then everyone enjoyed lunch together, and then they continued from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., 6 days a week. The seventh day, of course, was their Sabbath, and that was the day to worship God. Susanna expected all her kids to have learned their alphabet on the very first day when they turned 5. 2 of her daughters, Molly and Nancy, took a day and a half, and Susanna was frustrated with their slow progress. She taught them Greek and Latin. Her one daughter, Molly, was able to read parts of the New Testament in Greek by the age she was 8. I find that absolutely incredible. I purposely never told you Susanna's married name, which was Wesley. She was the mother of John and Charles Wesley, who were the founders of the Methodist Church. John and Charles are considered the greatest Christian brothers in church history. It was all because of their mother's influence as to what they taught from the scriptures. John Wesley, in his time, he preached to over 1 million people. And over his life, as he crisscrossed the country, he gave over 20,000 sermons. Charles Wesley, he penned an amazing 8,989 hymns. Some of my favorites are, "And Can It Be That I Should Gain?" This hymn was written in 1738 and still is a favorite among Christians. And then we have a song that is heard and sung every Easter, "Christ the Lord is risen today." I am sure that all of you have watched the movie It's a Wonderful Life at Christmas time. The last song in this movie comes from Charles Wesley, and it is "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." Susanna Wesley is considered the mother of the Methodist Church. Until next time, may God richly bless you. Remember that Jesus Christ can make your life wonderful. Have a nice day.